Donald Trump famously stays away from alcohol, but there is one beverage he can't get enough of. And as a former commander-in-chief, he's not alone. Here's what every president liked to drink. As the first chief executive, George Washington is one of the best-known presidents of the past, present, and future. Yet you may be surprised to learn that the face of our dollar bill enjoyed crafting beer and distilling whiskey near his Virginia estate Mount Vernon. His favorite beverage was a dark porter. History doesn't always describe a person's personality, but John Adams left a pretty clear picture of his love affair with cider. He spoke of the elixir often in his letters to friends and family. According to these documents, hard cider was one of the few things he considered necessary for a happy life. This founding father's favorite time was likely wine o'clock, especially considering he was known to send samples of his favorites to friends. According to his correspondences, Thomas Jefferson seemed to favor French and Italian wines. He regularly tried new variations and would often have shipments of wine imported to enjoy at the White House.
There's never too much wine to be provided for a gathering.
James Madison reportedly owned thousands of books and sipped on about a pint of whiskey throughout the day. When he wasn't giving off this iconic image of a scholarly gentleman, he was toasting with champagne. Though he was born in Virginia, James Monroe spent a good amount of time in France on political endeavors. While there, he developed a taste for French wine. According to historian Mark Will Weber, over 1,000 bottles of champagne and red wine were purchased and imported semi-off the books while he was president. Madeira was a favorite wine of our forefathers.
Plus, the signers toasted the signing of the Declaration of Independence with Madeira.
Though John Quincy Adams' father signed the iconic document, his son and our sixth president could allegedly identify numerous kinds of the wine by taste. Andrew Jackson loved whiskey so much that he distilled some of his very own at Hunter's Hill, his Tennessee distillery, at the turn of the 18th century. In true patriot fashion, he preferred to drink whiskey made in the United States. As a young man, Martin Van Buren made a bit of a name for himself as a man who loved to drink. One of his many nicknames was Blue Whiskey Van, after his love of the amber alcohol. The first President Harrison not only liked to drink hard cider, it helped him win the presidential election. His campaign used hard cider as a way to appeal to the people, with his campaign slogan, "Log Cabin and Hard Cider." Still, some sources refute Harrison's love of hard cider. They say the ninth president was not a drinker at all, and that his drinking was a campaign ploy. The end of John Tyler's presidential term saw the White House host quite a few champagne parties. His sociable wife Julia was fond of the drink, as was the president himself. By all accounts, James Polk wasn't a heavy drinker and was never visibly impaired by alcohol, according to contemporaries. He did, however, drink in moderation and liked to sip on wine. Zachary Taylor is one of the few presidents who didn't drink much alcohol. He is known to have enjoyed a large amount of iced milk and cherries shortly before his death, with the rumor he was poisoned with them. Milk was a popular drink for those who did not imbibe alcohol, and it's possible Taylor drank it often. Like Taylor, Millard Fillmore didn't drink much alcohol. As he had a humble background, it makes sense that he had a humble inclination for water. Franklin Pierce became president in his late 40s and was said to drink to excess both before and after his term in the White House. Though it isn't documented which alcoholic beverage he preferred, it is reported that quite a lot of it was consumed by our 14th president. James Buchanan's taste for alcohol were apparently quite wide-ranging. He kept a variety of wines on hand and reportedly bought around 10 gallons of wine a week when he was in his prime. In a world where Abe Lincoln found enjoyment in alcohol, he'd likely be a hard cider guy. Apples were one of the only things Lincoln would eat, so cider would be an obvious choice. In our universe, he supported the anti-alcohol temperance movement, and it was water, milk, and coffee that filled his cup. Andrew Johnson was known to enjoy a good party, and he drank whiskey while getting in the spirit to celebrate. It's also said that he consumed even more whiskey to help himself get over a hangover. History knows Ulysses S. Grant as a heavy drinker, though the truth is a source of controversy where Grant experts are concerned.
What's happened historically is that Grant's opponents derided him as a drunkard.
He did binge drink at times and is associated with the Old Crow brand of whiskey. The Civil War general may have also had a love for champagne. Rutherford B. Hayes' association with lemonade came from his temperance-minded wife Lucy, who served the sweet and refreshing drink in the White House in place of alcohol. We don't always have solid accounts of our forefathers' favorite beverages, but a love for beer was pretty clear as far as James Garfield was concerned. In 1881, Associate Thomas C. Donaldson wrote that Garfield liked beer and drank but little else. Chester A. Arthur enjoyed a range of beverages. He usually ended the night with a variety of spirits, and one of his favorite meals was accompanied with ale. He also enjoyed a good glass of wine. Grover Cleveland drank a staggering amount of beer. It's said that when limiting his beer consumption, he'd still drink a gallon a night. By all accounts, Benjamin Harrison was one of the U.S. presidents who did not drink alcohol. His wife did host White House tea parties, though. Considering this and his avoidance of alcohol, tea was likely his preferred beverage. William McKinley reportedly liked to have a bit of whiskey before he retired for the night, but his connection to the sophisticated alcohol goes deeper than that, as a cocktail was named after him on the presidential campaign trail. McKinley's Delight is made with rye whiskey, cherry liqueur, vermouth, and absinthe. While you'd expect a rugged Rough Rider like Theodore Roosevelt to sip straight bourbon or enjoy a good mead, he was a light drinker. He did enjoy the occasional fresh mint julep with mint from the White House garden. Taft mostly abstained from both alcohol and smoking. His exception was cider-like persimmon beer, which was regarded as a temperance-safe drink despite the fact that it contained some alcohol. It's not surprising that a president would need a stiff drink during wartime, and Woodrow Wilson certainly liked a finger or two of Scotch whiskey, yet he was a moderate drinker who only took a glass casually at night. Warren G. Harding loved whiskey. However, his love of the drink was problematic, seeing as he was president during Prohibition. Harding allegedly served bootlegged liquor at the White House, and the whiskey was reportedly sourced from the Justice Department's seized stash. Though Calvin Coolidge also served as president during Prohibition, he didn't totally support the banning of alcohol. Publicly, he did seem to abide by the law of the land, but it's reported that he enjoyed a glass of Tokay wine occasionally. As another president whose term overlapped with Prohibition, Herbert Hoover kept a dry White House. The banning of alcohol ended the same year he left office, and as a former president, he enjoyed a couple of martinis in the evening. He liked his martinis dry, with a touch of vermouth to dilute the gin. As the president who finally ended Prohibition, Franklin D. Roosevelt was popular. Fittingly, he enjoyed making custom cocktails for his guests at the White House. His cocktail of choice was an unconventional martini, in which he mixed a bit of gin and absinthe with a lot of vermouth. Reportedly, these presidential concoctions were terrible. Harry S. Truman had a straightforward leadership style, which pairs nicely with his drink of choice. Truman preferred an old-fashioned, which is a classic standby whiskey cocktail. Apparently, Truman liked his served at extra strength, as he believed a mistake of crafting an old-fashioned was making it too sweet. Small dinner parties were a normal occurrence at the White House when Dwight D. Eisenhower was in office, and drinks poured freely. His beverage of choice at these intimate events was a Scotch on the rocks. JFK was clearly a very social president, and he often had an alcoholic beverage in his hand when he made appearances. He liked a good mixed drink, like Bloody Marys or his favorite, a daiquiri. When he opted for a beer, he was known to have reached for a Heineken. Coca-Cola rolled out Fresca, a citrus soda, in 1966, which was smack dab in the middle of Lyndon B. Johnson's presidency. Apparently, the beverage went over well with the commander-in-chief because Johnson installed a Fresca button at his Oval Office desk. When pushed, the button prompted a staff member to serve him the refreshing drink. When it came to wine, Nixon liked it French, dark, and expensive. Though he's reported to have enjoyed all types of red wine, he did have a standby. He frequented the 21 Club in New York City, where staff knew to have a bottle of Chateau Margaux ready for his visits. Gerald Ford liked to drink martinis so much that, according to Mark Will Weber, White House staff asked him to lower his consumption.
Gerald Ford once said, "The 3-martini lunch is the epitome of efficiency."
As far as non-alcoholic beverages go, he enjoyed a coffee or an iced tea. Despite having been a champion for the American craft beer scene, Jimmy Carter does not drink alcohol often. He lives a quiet and rather humble life post-presidency, which implies that he'd now rather enjoy the simplicity of water over any more powerful beverage. Unlike many other former presidents, Ronald Reagan did not really care for liquor. Instead, he found quite a lot of enjoyment in a glass of wine. As his political career began in California, he was partial to the state's booming wine industry and drank wine from many of the state's wineries. Though martinis are traditionally made with gin, some enjoy the classic cocktail made with the substitution of vodka. George H.W. Bush fit right in with this class of drinker and preferred a vodka martini when he would occasionally drink alcohol. Where some former presidents enjoy a straightforward drink, Bill Clinton's beverage of choice is an unconventional mixed drink called a snakebite. Made from equal parts lager and cider, this drink isn't one you typically get at a bar, so Clinton likely has it custom-made. Unlike his father, who served as president before him, George W. Bush did not drink alcohol while in office. He quit drinking in the 80s and has enjoyed non-alcoholic beverages ever since. He seems to like the taste of beer, though, because he's been known to drink non-alcoholic beer. Barack Obama is known as a man who likes a trend, and the craft beer scene has been all the rage since he was in office. Obama not only has been seen enjoying a brew during his appearances when appropriate, but he also even crafted some of his own when in the White House. Remember Lyndon B. Johnson's Fresca button? Well, Donald Trump, who doesn't drink alcohol, apparently took inspiration from that and installed his own Diet Coke button. The button was actually kind of warranted, as he reportedly drinks 12 Diet Cokes a day, 11 more than the recommended number of Diet Cokes to consume in a day.
Give me a Coke, please.
Like his frequent political opponent, Donald Trump, Joe Biden does not partake in alcohol. Instead, he goes for something seen at virtually every American sports game and in most vending machines across the nation. Orange Gatorade is Biden's drink of choice, to the point where it's regularly kept in stock at his home.